tough conditions, those 2 games to secure the series. Is that evidence that you're coming to grips with how best to play these conditions just after a few weeks?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Obviously being over here for a while now, we obviously know the conditions aren't going to get any better from a playing surface point of view, so we've had to learn to adapt, and I think, you look at the way that Finchy started today in the last game, look at the way that George came in and reversed and swept and backed his game plan. I was just saying just before, the way he's played in the subcontinent over the last couple of years, his form's been outstanding. He's sort of been a rock in the middle there in these conditions, and it's fantastic to see that, and then him to come out and see the game at the end there was fantastic. But for us, it's about getting a good start in these conditions, I think, and you make the use of that new ball when we're batting, because otherwise, you see what happens when the ball gets old; it starts turning square.
You have been relieved after securing the series?
Yeah, definitely. It feels amazing, actually, to be honest. Obviously, we went through a bit in the tests. We were faced up with some tough conditions here. Obviously, come up here the other day and expecting to play on that green wicket that's on the other side, but I think we got our hopes too high. But to come out there and play on that wicket the way that we did, I think was fantastic. The way that our bowlers played was fantastic. To keep them to a total of 200 was always going to be challenging, and we had to start well, which we did.
And can you tell us the difference of having 4 paces on a seemingly brownish track?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to give away our secrets and why. Maybe they put a Bunsen burner there for us to pick a spinner, maybe, because you guys probably like playing against spinners and not against the quicks. So, maybe that might be the cause. But look, at the end of the day, for us, we have to select the team that we think is going to be the best to tackle against Sri Lanka, and so far we've done the right one.
Pretty obvious tactic of yours. All your quicks had 4 spells today, and you chopped the bowls around heaps and heaps. Can you just talk through your thinking with that and how that sort of sets you apart from other captains about who tend to be more consistent with their bowlers?
Yeah, look, I like to think on my feet a little bit, and I try and think as a batsman when I'm out there what I would do, and sometimes you can sense, not sense, you can almost predict sometimes when a bowler gets into his spell, but then you sort of got to speak to the bowlers and make sure that they keep thinking on the same path that you're thinking with changing it up, setting different fields, having game plans for specific batsmen as well. I like sort of key matchups, and I think that's probably the way I've used it last sort of 2 games with certain players. And obviously with Heady today with 2 left-handers in, I knew that Pereira likes to come after the ball and try and play his shot. So it's handy having an all-rounder who can bowl off spin as well. So I'll just try and chop and change and not be too predictable.
It must have felt pretty good when you brought on the 2 spinners and they pick up the Pereiras in consecutive overs as a captain in the second game. It's pretty easy as captaincy paper, right?
Look, they're the things that happen when it happens. You get a bit of luck, but I just know sometimes when you get players out there that like to come and for us as Australian players, we like to feel bad on ball with the quicks and get in our groove. And I feel sometimes with their guys, when you put spin on, that's how they like to get going, and sometimes it can be a downfall as well. So with a little bit of variation of off the wicket, a bit of luck going our way, we picked up those 2 wickets.
I just wonder, I know it's a different format, whether runs in the subcontinent here in the ODIs might or should carry any weight towards India in February. George could be a possible candidate there.
It's a very good question. That's probably one for the selectors to answer. But look, from my point of view, it's very, very hard to fathom, why in certain conditions players play different. We see guys go to the IPL and score runs, and we come here and people are struggling, and then it's hard to I can put my hand up myself and say it is hard to gain that form of momentum when the wickets that are prepared are a bit like this. I speak from an Australian cricketer's point of view that we're about growing the game, and when it comes to one-day cricket and 2020 cricket, you like to see more of a contest where you're scoring over 300 runs and you're chasing down totals, like sitting back last night and watching England score 400, and we're coming out here and busting our backsides, both teams to scramble to 200. It's probably not ideal for people coming out here to watch that kind of cricket. We're trying to grow the game. We've got 4 fielders that can only be outside the circle until the 40th over. That's to try and amp the game up a little bit. And it's a little bit disappointing from our point of view because it's not the way that we like to play. We like to play, aggressive brand of cricket. We like to, entertain the crowd. And, so far it's been very difficult to try and do that. And, from a Sri Lankan's spectators' point of view, for them I'd like to see, 4s and 6s and, big hits and, so be it. But at the moment it's probably not that way.
You mentioned there was a bit of a struggle out there, but what was it like to be out in the middle when Finchy was in full flight?
Oh, it's always awesome to have one of your players go off like that, and for me, it's more been of a watching tour for me actually, to be honest. I've been at the other end or in the dugout watching the guys go about it, and it's fantastic. I love the way that he comes out and plays his game. That's the way that we play. That's the Australian way. We've always played that way. And as I said to the guys today, you almost know what your role is. The first 10 overs was the new ball. We had to try and make the most of it, and to see him, I think he scored 50 before I got off the mark. So it was fantastic the way that he played, and obviously the way that Bales finished off was superb.
Just on that, the England game last night, and as a batter, you'd obviously rather play on that sort of conditions, but low-scoring, close games, do they have some appeal, even if they challenge different parts of the game, different skills? Yeah,
they do, definitely, and we saw that in the West Indies as well when we played in Guyana. Three of the world's best teams couldn't even get over 150, and those wickets were very, very tough. They were turning square, they were up and down, and when you got world-class bowlers and world-class batters, there's got to be something wrong with the wicket if world-class players can't put on 150, or batsmen, in those conditions. But, it does come down to times where you do have to, grind it out here and there. You do have to do that. But when you see, games like last night, that's what I love about cricket. I love that kind of atmosphere, and that's why, as a youngster, I went to watch the game. But if you come here and you play 5 games like that on wickets like they are here at the moment, it's going to be very, very tough to draw a big crowd all the time.
Last one, or last two.
John Hastings came over originally to sort of get his fitness up and get ready for the T20 series. I mean, he's had a pretty good preparation in the past week, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's been fantastic for us, and he was actually replacing, Coults, because Coults got injured. So fortunate enough to add him to the squad and have him playing. He's been a very good bowler for a long time now, and he's a very cagey one. You have to respect him, and I know when I've played against him in the past, he's just so hard to get away, and he in these conditions is very, very challenging and very tough to try and go after. And it just showed tonight. His skills was fantastic, and there's probably a reason why he got a PB tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say on Hastings a year ago, he was so far away from international selection before getting called up in England. So now he's probably, in the context of the one-day international, as an important bowler as you roll on with Stark in terms of being able to hold up an end and take consistent wickets. Just that broader role he's playing in the Australian side at the moment. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And he had another string to his bow. He can hit a long ball, and that's another positive. And look, we look around our our team and our squad that we've had in the last sort of 2 years, and in the World Cup, we've got some very, very good all-rounders in Australia, and we're privileged to have that when called upon. Some guys are going to be disappointed, if they do miss out. But that's the part and parcel of this game. Having so much talent and only 11 players can take the field, I think we're in a very good paddock, and that's the fantastic thing about Australian cricket.